Right now at 6, hazy skies and the coming extreme heat set the stage for a dangerous week ahead.
There is no safe level of wildfire smoke to breathe in.
As we get a closer look at conditions facing firefighters on the front lines.
Plus, how family is remembering a teenager killed in a house party shooting that left 5 others injured.
Terrell was an amazing young man.
Then, the historic building left in ruins after a massive fire. The risk that remains and the warnings some say were ignored.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that it went up in flames.
And later, football season on the horizon. What makes the Ducks believe this could be their year?
We got to trust in our game plans and trust in Coach Lanning.
Good evening, everyone. David Mokel here with Christine Pitawanich on this Monday. We want to get right to breaking news in a semi-truck crash in downtown Portland. This is the aftermath. One that's flipped onto its side, sent grain pouring onto a major roadway and left at least 3 people injured.
This is on Southwest Harbor Drive, which is one of the major routes to and from I-5 near Nadeau Parkway and the waterfront. Let's bring in our Catherine Cook, who's live at the scene this evening with the very latest. Catherine, fill us in.
Christine, David, this has been quite the ordeal this afternoon. 4.5 hours and counting. I can tell you PBOT crews are out there now washing down South Harbor Drive. What a mess they've just removed out here. I want to show you something real quick. In my hand is wheat. Now imagine an entire truckload dumped across the road here. I want to show you some video from earlier. This was crews riding the semi-truck that dumped its load here off of Nadeau Parkway and Harbor Way. You can see crews lifting up the truck and riding it, and then right after that they get to work. PBOT crews were standing by. They swept up what I can only imagine was tons of grain, wheat to be exact. And since then, it's just been clean up, clean up, clean up. This is maybe the worst time of day could have happened with the commute, but they have made quick work of an incredibly messy ordeal. Back live here in downtown Portland. Once again, you can see crews here. The truck is right, and we're understanding from police that it could still be quite a while before they reopen this section of Nadeau in South Harbor. But again, we are well on our way. I want to let you know that investigators say the truck collided with a sedan and then flipped over. That's how it happened. We're told 3 people were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, but no further information on that at this hour. But again, just crews trying to get this cleaned up, the truck moved out so that they can reopen these 2 stretches to traffic. Back to you guys.
Yeah, what a mess, but glad to hear at least that those injuries are non-life threatening. Catherine Cook reporting. Thank you, Catherine.
All right, let's turn to our KGW weather impact alert with a dangerous combination of heat and wildfire smoke settling in across the Portland metro and beyond.
You're looking live at sky cameras from downtown Portland, Vancouver, Sherwood, showing the thick haze that's forecast to linger throughout the week.
A change in the winds mean the valley is now feeling the impact of what appears to be a record-breaking wildfire season in Oregon, with nearly 2 million acres burned and counting. For context, it's about the size of 22 Portlands put together.
2 million acres. Okay, let's get right to live team coverage, starting with meteorologist Joe Ranieri tracking our smoky skies and, of course, the temperatures that are set to soar. Joe.
Yeah, those temperatures are going to soar into the mid to the upper 90s, maybe not as hot because of how thick this smoke and haze is. And because of that, yeah, our air quality is hurting for sure. So it's now unhealthy for some. So basically, people with breathing ailments, older adults and children should limit time outside. I know parents, that's going to be tough for the next couple of days. It's going to be so hot, but there is really no window where things are going to be improving. It's not going to get any better tonight. It's not going to get any better tomorrow morning. But you can kind of see west side of the state. The only place that's dealing with good air quality right now is along parts of the Oregon coast, but still, you're looking at the smoke and haze starting to pour in as well, and it's going to be with us not just today, but into much of the work week. Potentially seeing it kind of lighten up a little bit going into Thursday. It's especially bad along eastern Oregon. But as we take a live look now from our Timberline Lodge camera, keep in mind this is at 6,000 feet. There is a little bit of blue skies up there. Again, that's at 6,000 feet. down here at the surface, it's just sitting over us. So air quality alert is going to be in effect tonight through tomorrow. Again, I've been telling you this all afternoon. There's a good chance this gets extended. Heat advisory will be in effect starting tomorrow at lunchtime until late Wednesday night, with highs on Wednesday close to 100 degrees. I'll talk more about that in a few minutes.
Appreciate you keeping us updated, Joe. Thank you.
All right, team coverage continues with Harley Coldiron and a closer look at what we can all do to avoid breathing in that unhealthy air. Harley.
David and Christine, health officials tell me it's a dangerous situation with the DEQ issuing an air quality alert that lasts until Tuesday, like Joe said. So how can you prepare? First, avoid going outside as much as you can. If you must, carry an N95 mask, drink extra water, and know where shade or indoors will be. Next, pay attention to how you feel. This will not be the day to push through anything. Don't try and be a tough guy. Do not ignore anything like headaches or cramps. These can lead to much more serious situations. And lastly, I know this is a tough one because of how expensive power is. Use that air conditioning unit if you have it.
There is no safe level of wildfire smoke to breathe in. So just keep an eye on that air quality. Know what your own symptoms are. Some of the symptoms could be worse because of high heat. If you have an AC unit in your home and you're able to put it on recirculate, that will help.
Now, if you have just a window AC unit, see if you can close the outdoor damper before using it. And late today, Multnomah County also banned wood burning until some of this smoke clears. Christine, David?
Good advice, and yes, we have to prepare. Thank you so much, Harley. Well, there are dozens of fires burning across the state. The one closest to Portland on the east side of Mount Hood is the Grasshopper fire.
That one's burned 31,000 acres and counting. Devin Haskins has more from Wasco County.
There are more than 800 firefighters helping to control and contain the Grasshopper fire. That number dropping slightly as crews get a little bit of an upper hand, getting some containment lines around at least one edge of the fire.
This area, the fire as it approached, it wrapped around this entire area.
On the south end of the Grasshopper fire, this is one of almost 200 homes that have been spared as the flames crept around them. Over the weekend, Mount Hood National Forest posting that the Flag Point Fire Lookout was destroyed in the fire. And as of Monday morning, more than 31,000 acres have burned, with less than 20% of the fire's perimeter considered under containment.
Yeah, we continuously try to put that black line around the fire, meaning the fire's out cold within 300 feet in.
One of the unique challenges with the Grasshopper fire?
The weather. It's always the weather.
Creating its own weather system and keeping firefighters on their toes.
This weekend we had a little of a wind challenge, pushed the fire in some areas that we thought was going to happen, but we had contingency plan to stop that, and so we're looking really good.
And as they feel more comfortable with how the fire is burning in the southern end, it's on the north end as it heads towards Mount Hood that the Grasshopper fire creates another slew of concerns.
We have Mount Hood, which is a big giant rock, and the wind changes as it goes around and makes an eddy. And so as that wind comes around, we might have wind changes. So when we think we're going to have wind coming from the west, it funnels back in and it changes it and it brings it back into us.
Now, because there are so many fires from around the state, they have had to call in some outside help. They have outside management teams from California and other areas, as well as firefighters from Australia and New Zealand, making the trip up here to help Oregon contain these fires. In Wasco County, I'm Devin Haskins, KGW News.
And stay with KGW as we track the ongoing wildfire emergency across the Northwest. Look for updates, including your up-to-the-minute forecast and air quality updates anytime on KGW.com or on the KGW mobile app.
To continuing coverage of a deadly shooting at a Northeast Portland house party that left an 18-year-old dead and 5 others injured.
Let's get right to Kyle Aboshi live in the Cully neighborhood. Kyle, we are talking about a recent high school grad who was also a young father.
Police are still investigating, trying to figure out who pulled the trigger. Meanwhile, neighbors tell me they hear fireworks from time to time, occasionally a gunshot, but nothing like the barrage of bullets this weekend.
On the corner of Northeast Alberta Street and 57th, this old street pole holds memories and carries a family's heartbreak.
He's just someone that was easy to love.
According to his aunt, 18-year-old Terrell Granberg died early Sunday morning after a shooting in Northeast Portland that left 5 others injured.
Getting on social media, all the RIP, 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 it's not something that you can ever be prepared for, but it's also a constant reminder that it's not a dream.
Granberg had just graduated from Adrian Nelson High School in June. He carried his 3-year-old daughter across the stage. She meant the world to him.
Terrell was an amazing young man. He was an amazing father, a young parent, but he was really embracing fatherhood.
Police responded to reports of a shooting around 3:30 Sunday morning in the Coley neighborhood. It was a chaotic scene, say police. Over 100 people were at a house party when several people were shot. The crowd scattered. Investigators found more than 75 shell casings.
It's the loudest I've ever heard, and that many continuously.
Netta is a neighbor.
I was contemplating, is it time to hit the floor and try to roll up under the bed?
On Monday, many neighbors were still evaluating the damage and making repairs. There was broken glass and bullet holes. Police confirm officers were called to the same scene earlier in the evening, but those at the party were cooperative, and many agreed to leave.
When our officers left around the 12:30 hour, 12:30 in the morning, maybe 10 to 12 people remained.
Hours later, the crowd returned, even bigger, and then things turned violent, cutting one man's life short and impacting many others.
So far, police say no suspect or suspects have been identified. The ATF is offering a $5,000 reward in connection with this case.
Hopeful that investigators find whoever is responsible. Kyle Laboshi reporting. Thank you, Kyle.
Kids, your headlines now. A hiker has died after falling more than 50 feet from a cliff above Punch Bowl Falls. The Hood River County Sheriff's Office saying this happened early Saturday morning. This is file video of the popular hiking spot in the gorge along the Eagle Creek Trail. A friend telling the Sheriff's Office the 19-year-old was from Kennewick, Washington, tried to climb down the rock face to reach the base of a waterfall when he slipped and landed on the rocks below.
Right now, crews are still on scene at a fire at the Centennial Mills warehouse in northwest Portland. Officials say there is a real risk it could collapse. The century-old 8-story building caught fire Sunday afternoon with flames just racing through the abandoned building like a chimney. It's been a trouble spot for years, with previous fires and police recently clearing out squatters from inside the building.
There's been homeless people wandering around in there for a long time.
A lot of teenagers crawling up on the top of that, by the tower.
And then we see like orange, and then when we look out, the building's on fire.
Yeah, the flames were just huge. That smoke as well, huge plume. Roads around the site do remain closed this evening. Firefighters are continuing to monitor hotspots and investigate what sparked that fire.
And Oregon and Washington are suing the Trump administration again, this time over new tariffs from dozens of U.S. trading partners, including the EU, Canada, Mexico, and China. The states argue the administration exceeded its legal authority and say the tariffs, which it imposed, will drive up costs for consumers and businesses. The case was filed today in the U.S. Court of International Trade, with Oregon leading the lawsuit.
The Washington primary is tomorrow, which means ballots need to be returned to a ballot box or county elections office by 8 p.m. And while we're watching the election as a whole, there is one key race that we are also keeping our eye on.
There's always one. We're talking about Washington's 3rd congressional district. 9 candidates are running. 2, according to recent polls, are well ahead. They are Republican State Senator John Braun and Democrat and 2-term incumbent Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez in what many consider a purple district. The candidates say they are both appealing to both parties.
I didn't run for this seat because I'm ardently partisan. I just really care about where I'm from. I care about being able to represent ordinary people.
It's a very independent district, a district that really demands that you go out and solve the problems they're facing. And I think my reputation says I can do that.
And again, a top 2 primary here. For more on what's on the ballot and to watch those interviews you just heard clips of, just head to KGW.com.